Welcome everybody to the Spring Cleaning Get Organized Challenge webinar series. And our challenge this week is stamps, punches, and cutting systems. So if you're brand new to the webinar, I just want to let you know that you can't actually see me. You can only hear me. But you can see the PowerPoint slides that are going across my screen. So if you can't see me, that's fine. Just as long as you can hear me and you can see the slides on the screen, we're in great shape. Let's start off this week like we always do with the winner of the week, which is Denise Wilkins. And Denise's post just says she got more organizing done last night. Made my own pouch protectors with my Hot Mark heat tool. Absolutely love it. Now I need more page for pages so I can make more. Even made some with flaps. Loaded my alphabet pages. I think it's all going to work out well for me. So looks like things are going well for Denise, and Denise is the winner of a $25 Scrap Rack gift certificate. So Denise, if you don't hear from us in the next 24 hours or so, please feel free to email us at customer service. Sometimes we send out those emails and they end up in spam filters or junk files or whatever. They don't quite make it through. So if you don't see it, please email us for your gift code. Now, we do have the free shipping day coming up on May 5th. So, and you can use your $25 gift certificate on that day as well. So National Scrapbook Day just around the corner. So let's get started. Our goal for this webinar is to establish a system for sorting, storing, and organizing your stamps, punches, and cutting system that enables you to get the most use out of them with the least frustration. When I have to pause for a minute, I started welcoming new people and telling them what they could see or not see. What I forgot to mention is if you're new and you have questions, you have a little question pane on your navigation panel. So if you think of something as we're going through the webinar, go ahead and type it in as a question. I won't actually answer the question until the very end of the presentation, but I want you to type it in while it's fresh in your brain. I may answer it through the presentation, I may not, and that way it'll be there. You won't have forgotten it. So there's a lot of challenge to organizing these things because they're different shapes and sizes. It's difficult to bring them all together. Little Cricut cartridges, wood-mounted stamps, physics dies, embossing folders, all of that stuff, they seem to require a different sort of organization. Or do they? The system is consistent. It's just the method of storage that changes. So we're going to stick within that 4-section system for everything so it's easy for your brain to find things. So let's jump right in with deciding, are you a God a little or a God a lot? Now, there's, excuse me. Those of you who have been with us for a webinar or two, you know who you are, whether you're a God a little or you're a God a lot. But God a littles have a variety of different things. If you're a God a little, you like the stuff you have, but you're not likely to accumulate large amounts of any of it. You're more likely to use products available to you at your local scrapbook store when you go to a crop or when you borrow them at a girlfriend's house or whatever. And God a lots love all these fun toys and feel almost like collectors. If you're a God a lot, you're very likely to continue to add to your collection. Your cropping pals rely on you, in fact, to have a huge variety of tools or toys to share. If you're somewhere in the middle, you can choose to follow either method, excuse me, that we're going to talk about tonight. Base your decision on where your hobby will go in the future. So if you've just started using stamps and you really like it and you think that you're going to expand on stamps or Cricut or physics or whatever, then you're going to want to sort of work those, at least those things in the God a lot strategy here. So there's 2 basic methods we're going to employ. If you're God a little, you're going to integrate product representations and in some cases the actual product right into your 4-section system. If you're a God a little, you're going to create a standalone catalog to keep with your 4-section system. Now I said standalone catalog. You probably are actually going to complete 2 catalogs as you go, doing them at the same time, one that can be put right into your 4-section system and one that can be kept out separately. We'll talk more about that as we go along here. So when I say representations, God a littles are going to create representations of things to integrate right into their system. So if you have this little stamp that's a gift box, it's going to work in a number of categories: wedding, baby, birthday, Christmas, Hanukkah, graduation, anywhere you might give a gift or receive a gift. So this little list is about 6 categories. So to catalog that stamp, you're going to stamp out 6 impressions of the stamp. You're going to number the stamp or die cut or punch. So whatever it is that you're working with, you're going to follow the same process. I'm using a stamp, for example, right now, but you could do the same thing with a die cut or a punch. So you're going to write the number, in this case, a stamp on the impressions. So this is stamp number 15. You can see the little 15 in the upper corner there. So you're going to stamp out 6 impressions of that little gift box, and then you're going to write the number 15 next to each of the impressions. Separate the impressions and put 1 impression into each of the categories where it belongs. Store the stamp in its proper place, a numbered drawer, box, or shelf. So essentially, you're going to take that little impression of the stamp and you're going to put it in, you know, Christmas, Hanukkah, birthday, baby, wedding, graduation, wherever it works. Now here's another tip. When you stamp it out, it's just going to be on a little square of paper. If you actually cut around the stamp, depending on how much time you have, but if you cut around the stamp and put it in the pocket page or in, you know, that category, then when you're working on a project away from home, you have the example of the stamp with you, so you can actually lay that example that you stamped out on your layout and make sure that the stamp is going to fit on your layout, and then just use a little sticky note to say, you know, put stamp number 15 gift box here, and that way you don't have to actually haul all your stamps with you, especially wood-mounted stamps which are so bulky. But you don't have to haul your inks, you don't have to haul embossing powders or tools or any of those kind of things, but you're still going to get maximum use out of those stamps. So here's an example. This is Stampin' Up! Set number 5. It's called Bon Appetit. Now you can stamp your stamps out, or you can photocopy the stamps and cut them apart. Whichever way you want to do it is fine. So as I was creating catalogs, I photocopied all my stamps because I was using multiple pictures of them. So, and then you just cut apart. So this one has a cake with a 1 in it, with 1 candle in it. So that was going to go under birthday, obviously. The happy birthday is going to go under birthday, but that cake with 1 candle in it might also end up under baby, just so you remember when you're working on baby pages that you have that little single candle cake stamp. And then you've got the wine and cheese and the chef. So those things are going to go, they're probably going to go under celebration. They might go under home and family, and they might go under food, depending on the categories that you have. Why are we numbering? Numbering things like stamps, punches, Cricuts, etc. prevents us from constantly rearranging to fit like products into the correct area. Numbering allows you fast, easy access when you need to find something, and also makes it really easy to put things away in their proper place. So right, easy is what we're after. It needs to be easy, and then we'll do it. Easy to take out and easy to put away. So if you number, currently what most people try to do is group things together by category. So if you've got all your beach stamps together and all your baby stamps together and all your birthday stamps together, all stacked up nice and neat in trays or drawers, but when your beach drawer gets too full, then you've got to rearrange baby or rearrange birthday to work in some new beach stamp. You can spend all day literally rearranging stamps to try and keep them in order. Well, if you switch over to numbering, then all those stamps are going to have a number on them. And when you buy a new stamp, it doesn't matter what the topic of the stamp is, it just becomes the next stamp. If you have 203 stamps, it becomes stamp number 204. If it's a beach ball, you're going to stamp it out in the beach section, in the baby section, in the sports section, maybe in summer, anywhere that you might possibly be able to use a beach ball stamp, and then you're going to write that number 204 next to it. And that way, when you're working, that stamp is going to pop up for you. You're going to know exactly where to go to find it. So it just makes it simple to keep things in their proper place. Now, if you're a got-a-lot, you're going to create a catalog and then label and store. And remember, I said you might want to do 2. So one that you can separate out the pages into each of the 4-section system categories. There's only 3 sections, actually, because there's no rainbow for this. So creating a catalog that's an actual standalone catalog of your stuff is the way to go. Your catalog is going to follow the 4-section system, actually 3. The catalog can easily be transported across classes or even on shopping trips to buy products that complement rather than duplicate what you already own. So especially if you do a lot of Stampin' Up! Or a lot of Close to My Heart or something like that, if you have a catalog of what you own already that you can take with you, then it's going to make it a lot easier to make good choices and avoid buying those duplicate stamps. So for got-a-lots, you can either use a 12 by 12 format or an 8.5 by 11 format. You'll need paper, page protectors, hole reinforcers, and tab dividers. And you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, that is a stamped catalog sheet that is actually just photographs of the stamp. So that's another way to do it, right? We talked about, go back. We talked about photocopying them or actually stamping them out, but you can also take pictures of them with your digital camera. Now, what you can't see in this picture because it's too small, and I apologize for that, is that on each one of those stamps it has a number, but it also has the dimension. Because when you're stamping the stamps out, or when you're photocopying the stamps, you get the real size of that stamp. But when you're taking pictures of it, you're going to have you don't get the actual size of the stamp. So if you're doing it this way, you're going to want to add a little notice there that says how big that stamp is. So now I did just do a video about woodblock stamp organization, and that's where this slide actually came from, or the animals page there. So that's going to be posted with project organization probably tomorrow or the next day. So if you're not part of the project organization email list, if you go to project organization on our website, and I'll show you if I can. No, I don't know how to get back now. I was going to try and go back to our, well, I'll show you where that is. I think I have a new way to show you things that are on the website that I have talked about before and not been able to get to. So I'm going to give it a shot at the end tonight. So anyway, but that photographing is another way to do it. Now the advantage to photographing is I'm going to do another class on digital organization of ideas. And if you've taken photographs of all your stamps and done this part of it, you'll be able to use them in that class as well. So a little bonus there. So if you're got a lot, if you're got a little, you should bring all your stamps and punches together in one place, because you don't have that many of them. If you're got a lot, you want to start with one type of product and bring those things together and work in small groups that way of particular products. Now the reason I'm saying to go with particular products if you're got a lot is because most products that are all the same manufacturer are all the same size. So things like Cricut cartridges or physics cartridges, embossing folders. So then when you store them, you're going to store them together in a way that they all fit together. So we'll see that as well. So you have to decide if you're got a lot, how and where you're going to store your sorted items, and get those items together. So boxes or scrap rack pages, drawers, shelves, whatever it's going to take. And then you want to prepare an organized only space for your sorted items. You might also need to create codes lists. So it depends on how many products you have and by what brand. So if you have a woodblock stamp, you might label it WB, and then you know it's in the box with woodblock stamps or the drawers with woodblock stamps. If it's a kit, you want to label it that it's a kit so that you know there are multiple stamps included with it. AU is acrylic and unmounted, SU Stampin' Up. So you can see the list here, and it's going to vary by crafter, what brands you like and what brands you have a lot of. But coming up with a codes list so that when you're actually labeling and numbering things, you have a little cheat sheet so that you can be consistent with how you label things. That's going to make it a lot easier. So now you're going to start the process. If you've got a lot, you're going to go through one container at a time, stamping, punching, copying, photographing, whatever it is, onto the catalog sheets and coding and numbering the products and their representation. So when I say coding the products, I mean writing the number on the product, and the representation, that's the number in the catalog. When you're finished, you're going to label the containers where you stored the catalog items with the numbers. So the two things are going to tie each other together. So here's an example of that. So on the left side with the yellow background, you see a bunch of photographed unmounted acrylic stamps. That's one catalog sheet. Now that's for a 12 by 12 catalog. And then on the right side picture, that's an 8.5 by 11 catalog. And you can see more clearly on the 8.5 by 11 catalog where it's the beach page or the ocean page, where there are all the different stamps, and then there's some little punches there as well. But you can see that each of the little stamps has a number written by it. So in these particular stamps, 4, 6, 7, 8, and it looks like 5 is the palm tree. Those are all going to be in a drawer labeled stamps 1 through 25 or whatever. Now, when you first start this, because your stamps are pretty much grouped together by theme, or a lot of people's are grouped together by theme, the numbers are going to be fairly consistent, and they're going to be big groups of stamps that are all together by that particular theme. And then you can see the punches. There's a little number. It's hard to see in the lower left-hand corner where the green ocean punches are, and it says number 12D, and that means that's in drawer, which is what the D stands for in this catalog, drawer number 12. So easy to find those punches when you're ready to use them. Now, with the stamp catalog, the yellow stamp catalog that says animals, you can see the numbers, right? This is stamp number 12109, 12112, and then 6102 and 6101. Those are kind of big, weird numbers, and they're like that because they correspond to pages they're scrap rack pages. So here's a binder with dividers on it. That's a stamp catalog, and the stamps, there's the catalog first, and then the stamps follow. And you see the tab that says 12. So, and that means that's a 12 pocket page. So this was done when we had the Dream Dozen. That would probably now be a Sweet 16 page. But so the first 2 digits of the number on these small stamps indicate that it's in a 12 pocket page, and it's pocket that's labeled 109 and 112 in that 12 pocket page. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit cumbersome how that numbering system works. But the ones that are labeled 6 are going to be behind the 6 tabs, and the numbers that start with 4 are going to be behind the 4 tabs. And they're like that because of the sizes. So you want to be really economical if you're using scrap rack pages, and you want to keep all your small stamps together, mediums and larges, so that you can get the most stamps in the least number of pages. And so that's why they're designed that way. So the 4 tab is going to be for stamps like Close to My Heart. So here's that, just another picture of that, but big squares. Here's a close-up of that. So this is actually the 16 pocket page. So you can see it's 16101, 16102. Now, you can see also on some of these stamps that the little sheet of acetate that the stamp is stuck to also has a number on it, 16102. And that way when you pull the stamp out of the pocket, you know exactly where it goes back, what pocket it's going to go back into. Here's a couple of examples of Stampin' Up. So if I had the Stampin' Up stamps stamped out in my catalog, I've left them in their clamshells, which is a great way to store wood block stamps because you can put a lot in a small space and they're not stacked up on top of each other. But so it says SU6, SU5, and I think voila, SU5 was the birthday one. So if I needed to use that stamp, I could go right to my Stampin' Up basket and look, number 5, pull it out, use the stamp, and then put it back quickly and easily. So now also Stampin' Up, some of my Stampin' Up stamps have this little, you can see in the upper right corner there's a picture. Those were the, in SU1, which I guess you can't see in the left picture, those are all the stamps in the SU1 set right there, and that actually came in the set, and I just photocopied it. So from that perspective, I can put that whole thing into Valentine's Day. I can put the whole thing into family or anywhere that I might use love, pets, whatever, wherever it might work for me. But I know it's going to be SU1 when I need those stamps. Another option is to use a photo storage box and files. So the new photo storage boxes and files, because they're slightly oversized, work great for storing stamps, nestabilities, and even embossing folders. And if you just use the file folders that we have for the photos and label those with what's in them number-wise, then you can put a couple of different things in there. So, you know, a couple of embossing folders, a couple of nestabilities, and I have a picture coming up of the nestabilities too. That's been kind of a question. So you want to add examples of these items to your 4-section system and your catalog sheets. Just number your photo storage boxes and your file folders, and then put the corresponding number on the catalog example. So it's the same principle, just a different storage container to do it. Cricut cartridges, same thing. You want to number your books, cartridges, and the case or notebook, however you're containing them. So this is a Cricut cartridge box. We actually sell it on our website. There's a little video on the website too about how to number it, but essentially in this box there's 16 Cricut cartridges. And so what I've done on mine is just write the number next to the cartridge So if you pull out, cartridge number 7, that's going to be an empty hole. I put a number 7 on the cartridge itself and a number 7 on the workbook and or the booklet, and I just put the overlay inside the booklet so it stays safe and clean in there. But then you know exactly where everything is, and on the outside of the box you just put a thing that says Cricut cartridges, 1 through 16. The next box would be 17 through 32. But then you're going to put an example of that cartridge in each section where it belongs. So I photocopy the back of the Cricut box. So if it's a Christmas cartridge, I'm going to photocopy the back of the Cricut box, and I'm going to put it in Christmas. I'm going to write on the photocopy, cartridge number 7. And then when I need that cartridge, I know exactly what storage to go to get it. One of the tips I've learned for doing that from one of our webinar people actually was to remove the foreign language section of the booklet, because the booklets are pretty thick. So if you don't need the foreign language section and you have no intention of ever selling your Cricut cartridges or whatever, you can pull out that foreign language section, and then that'll make them a little bit slimmer, a little bit easier to fit into the tote, this tote or any tote actually. These are in the Cool Tools section of our website. And then this is another option. This is Velcro strips on a divider and little Velcro dots on the Cricut cartridges. And again, just in numerical order, the numbers on the cartridges match the numbers on the booklet. Easy to pull the two of them together, but you can get a lot of Cricut cartridges in one really easy to use place right here. And then take it with you if you want to take it with you in your travel pack. So here's an example of that photocopy of the back of a Cricut box. Now if you're, actually this is from the internet, this is not a photocopy of the back of a Cricut box, I guess, but same concept. So this is so this says CA101. So if you want to keep your Cricut cartridges together by whether or not they're an alphabet cartridge or a theme cartridge, then you can just give them two separate kinds of numbers. CA, Cricut Alphabet 101, same number on the box, same number on the example, right? Cricut Theme 101, and so then you can keep them, again, in order. You don't have to rearrange them all the time. And that's for those of you who prefer to keep them in the boxes on the shelf. Now, this takes up a whole lot more room than using one of those Cricut cases that we saw on the previous screen. So just kind of, if you're crunched for space, you might want to look at some of the other options. Now here's a close-up of what those punch drawers might look like. So you can see the punches here on the example page, and then they correspond with the drawer number. And the drawer numbers are a little bit hard to see, but the nice thing about this is, with the drawer number, you're going to, if you have a little bit of extra space somewhere, so say you can't fit a big punch into drawer number 5, but there's room for a small one, you can just write on the, punch it out, put it wherever it belongs in your category, in your catalog, and then you can put it in a drawer where there's space. So it doesn't necessarily, if you have big punches and there's only a little bit of space or vice versa, then you can just work it in wherever. But it makes it really easy. Now this gal also put the pictures on the front of the drawers, and that was because when she first started, she had the drawers grouped by category, right? So you can see that she's, there's a lot of things that are similar categories in each drawer. So, and then she was able to fill the drawers because, that she didn't have enough for that category. So by using a drawer number, then you can actually get the maximum space out of your drawer as well. So here's some examples of that, of 12 by 12 catalog sheets. And important that you start a catalog page even if you only have one thing that fits that catalog. So you've got lots of party stamps, right? But only one sports stamp. Well, don't be tempted to not do a sports page or not start a sports page because you only have one stamp. Now, if it's something like, I don't know, where you might never buy another sports stamp or whatever, you can always just go with, your theme. You could put a title at the top, themes, S through V or whatever, or S through Z or whatever. But you want to make sure you represent that stamp somewhere where it's going to pop up for you and you're going to use it. So just make sure it gets in there. And They all need to get in there. Don't think to yourself, oh, I'll remember that I have this golf stamp, because you won't, especially if you're over 40. That kind of information sort of abandons us at some point. You can do the same thing with your ColourBug embossing folder. So make examples of them, and they might go in particular places. Like the one with numbers, I put that in my birthday section, and I also put it in my alphanumeric section. Now I know it's designed mostly for doing birthday stuff or birthday cards or whatever, but you never know when it might work. Like, truthfully, you could use that numbers one on a sports page, you know, all the numbers on a team or whatever, I don't know. You could do it if you're trying to win the lottery or something, anything that's related to numbers. So that's going to be in my numbers section. There's the music one, and so that's going to be definitely in the music section, but probably also in the school section, because if your kids play any kind of instrument. And then you've got just the design ones, the wood and the bricks, and so I would definitely put those in probably home and family. I might put the wood one in camping or outdoors. And then I have a whole section that's just samples of what embossing folders I have, so I know exactly what they look like, right? I don't have to guess based on looking at the folder. And these are just stored in the Fabulous 4 pages, but you could also store them, give them a number, and store them in that photo storage box as well. That would work fine, and just as long as they're numbered and you can get to them. And here's some of the ColourBug, the small ones. And again, they're just numbered and in a pocket page, so you can find them quickly and easily. You can do your nestabilities too. So again, so these nestabilities, and someone just asked about this today, I think, on the Facebook page. These are just on magnetic cloth. Now, I bought this magnetic cloth at Michael's, but after I bought it, I found out it's cheaper if you buy it at the hardware store, and they sell it as vent covers to go over your heating vents. So, and it's just a thin sheet of magnetic, they call it magnetic canvas at Michael's, and it's in the general craft department. But it's easy to cut apart with with scissors. Now, there's a whole article. There might even be a video too. I'm not sure if we did a video on it or not. There's a whole article about doing this on the website. So I will be sure and link that to the follow-up email that goes out tonight. So I'll get that link on there. So if you want to learn more about nestabilities or spellbinders and how to do them on the magnetic sheet, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory here. Now, if you don't want to keep them in scrap rack pages, they're a little bit heavy. They work great if you just put them on the magnet and then put it right in one of those little, heavy photo files that we've got. And then you can just label the top of the photo file with the name and the number or whatever of that. You could put a whole box of them together depending on how many of them you have. Okay, so this week's challenge, catalog 20 things a day for the next 7 days, or 140 items over the course of the next week. You can continue through the process by doing a little each week until everything is cataloged, or you can catalog things as you use them. And there are 2 schools of thought on catalog as you use. And the first one is, if I haven't used it, I probably don't need it, right? So it's going to help me purge. And then the other side of that coin is, if you didn't use it, maybe it was because you didn't know, or you couldn't find it, or you forgot about it. So that's not really a reason at all. And only you will be able to judge that that's a topic or theme that you're really going to get the use out of. If it's not, you'll be able to purge it, or you might say, hey, I would have used this, but I didn't know where it was. So two different ways to think about that. So our Q&A is coming up, so if you have questions, you can go ahead and type those in. The Cricut cartridge storage and other goodies are available on our Cool Tools page on the website. You can use the button at the top of the menu bar for Cool Tools. And then National Scrapbook Day, I'll also include a link, as I always do. But the National Scrapbook Day is Saturday, May 5th, and this is a free shipping day for orders shipping within the USA. If you're outside the USA, you'll get a 10% of your order credited towards your shipping costs. So even though you're not here, you still can get a benefit of that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open my question pane here, and we'll see what we've got going on. Make it a little bit bigger so I can actually read the questions. I think that creates a black box for you guys, so I apologize for that. Scoot up to the top here. So some comments about the break, and kind of a mixed bag on whether or not it'd be good to take a break. Sarah says she probably wouldn't want a week off because she would lose momentum. Other people say I did get a lot done that week that I wouldn't have done otherwise. So kind of a mix on that. Yar says the break was welcome. I met Yar this last week in New Hampshire. Hi, Yar. Let's see. These are mostly just feedback on the break idea. Some people saying I like it because it's my first time through. Let's see. Barbara says, I'm having trouble with the long adhesive to attach to this binder. It does not want to stay attached on the page. I'm not sure, Barbara, what you're talking about. Maybe it's the ring binder insert strip. So if you can just clarify that for me, and then I'll see if I can answer it. Joanna's with us. Joanna's our customer service expert down in Texas. So welcome, Joanna. What is the best way to catalog Cricut cartridges? Heather asked. And Heather, the best way to do it is for me, is to just photocopy the back of the cartridge and put it in your catalog or in your scrap rack. So depending if you've got a little or got a lot, if you have a Cricut cartridge for Christmas, you're going to photocopy the back of it, give the cartridge a number, and then number that the back and put it in Christmas, or put it in Christmas and put it in your put it the same copy on your catalog sheet. Let's see. So do I understand correctly? If I have purchased a CTM stamp set, I have to number each stamp on the page purchased. I already have the stamp set in numerical order. No. So close to my heart, they have numbers assigned to their stamp set. So that makes it really easy. So I didn't have a picture of my close to my heart stamps in their basket there, but all you should do is make that number bigger on the little folder that comes with close to my heart, if you're going to keep them in the folders. Now, truthfully, I've moved my close to my heart stamp sets out of the folders, and they're right in my acrylic stamp section on my scrap rack, so they're all in one place. But all you have to do, Debbie, is use the number that they came with, and then you're going to photocopy that whole little block of stamps, or stamp out that whole little block of stamps. Now, close to my heart and those types of things, it works great to photocopy them because each square, each 6x6 square of stamps or 4x4 square of stamps has multiple stamps on it. So I just photocopy it and then put, so if there's one that's barbecue, that has a barbecue theme, I'd photocopy it and put one photocopy in food and one photocopy in summer, and just use the number, the close to my heart number that you already have on it. So you don't need to reinvent that. They're probably already filed numerically. You just want to make an example of it, put it in your catalog, and use the same number and just label it CP so that you know what that number means or whatever. Missy says, probably a silly question, but what is the advantage of noting the brand of a product? And the advantage is if you're only exists if you're got a lot, because things like Stampin' Up! Are different sizes and shapes than close to my heart. So if you're using a lot of a particular brand, it allows you to keep that whole brand together, which usually means it's going to be more efficient space-wise for storage. So if you're not using a lot of the same brand, or you're not, in love with or addicted to a particular brand, then it doesn't really matter. But it's mostly to direct you, like SU, like you saw in my example, SU for Stampin' Up! So I know exactly where to go to find that stamp. It's going to be in the Stampin' Up! Basket labeled 1 through 9 or whatever, versus going through the acrylic catalog, So it's just a way for find things faster if you have a lot. Renee says, do you leave extra numbers in each drawer for any stamps that you might buy in the future? For example, the beach drawer. You have 18 stamps, but do you go ahead and label the drawer so that you have room to add stamps if needed? No, because you don't need to keep all your beach stamps together anymore. So if you had beach stamps, you have 18 beach stamps, but you could fit 25 stamps in the drawer. Say 18 is all the stamps you have, and it's all beach. But then if you buy a volleyball stamp or you buy a Christmas stamp or whatever, that becomes 19 and 20, and they just go in different places in the catalog. But you don't have to keep your stamps together by theme anymore, because that's not how you're going to find them. You're going to find them by using your catalog. And each time you buy a new stamp, you're going to stamp it right in the catalog or create an impression and put it right in your 4-section system. Give it the next number, the next space in your box or your drawer, wherever you're storing them, and then just move through. Okay, Anna says, I saw a suggestion somewhere to use a Rolodex to stamp and organize. What do you think? It's the same concept, but the the advantage to using a big catalog sheet like 12 by 12 is that you can see a couple dozen of the small stamps or 6 of the bigger stamp sets all at one time. So if you're trying to choose a beach stamp and you go to your beach section and you can see them, 2 sheets of beach stamps, you'll be able to more quickly see all the different choices that you have. So it's the same idea, it's just that you'd have to break them down so much smaller in that Rolodex that you could literally be flipping through. If you had 30 beach stamps, you'd have to flip through 30 Rolodex cards to see all the beach stamps versus just opening up to your beach section in your catalog or to your beach section in your 4-section system and seeing everything you've got. It's the same basic idea, but just one that's going to be more efficient for space and for finding things, and that's really what we're after, is making it easy and efficient. Christine says, will the triple plays and the 8 pockets and the 5x7s be available to order May 5th? No, I'm sorry to say they won't. However, we do know that a lot of you are waiting for those new pages to arrive. Now, they're supposed to leave, or they're supposed to get on their slow boat sometime mid to late May. We don't have a confirmed date yet, which means they'll be here early to mid-June. So if you place an order during National Scrapbook Day, it's going to come with a coupon, so like a 10% off coupon for your next order, so that when those new things come in, you'll get a discount to defray the cost of shipping them later. So we're not really set up to do back orders and that kind of stuff, so we can't really let people order and then hang on to things for a month. So that way you'll still get kind of the advantage of the free shipping, and you can use it on any of the new products as well. So great question, Christine. Missy says, what category would you use for basic shapes, rectangular, circle, oval, punches, and nestabilities and the like? So you might just put them all in a shape section, which is what I do. I have a bunch of shapes, well, besides punches, I have a bunch of shape templates as well. So I just have one section in S in my scrap rack that's just all shapes. And so anything like, even I think I have some things that are like banners and arrows and that kind of stuff. Anything that's generic is all in that shape section. Now, if it's something that might work commonly in another area as well, so let's say if you had a banner, that for me that says, hey, that might work great in sports, so I'm going to put an example of it in sports also, or arrows, kind of remind me of driving, so I might put that in transportation or whatever. So you may put a couple of different representations, but the basic for me with everything would be in the shape category under S in the themes section. Janet says the voice is not playing all the time. Is anyone else having problems? Ooh, so if you can post up if you are having trouble with the audio. Beverly says, do you know where you can get a picture of the Cricut shapes on a cartridge for the cartridges that have more images than what is shown? For example, the Art Philosophy cartridge has 700 shapes, but they aren't pictured on the back of the box. Thanks. Now, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that on the Facebook page, we've had a lot of postings about where to get all those examples. So I think if it's not within the booklet, you could just photocopy the booklet. There is a lot of information on the Facebook page about where to get those. So if somebody can clarify that for me, that would be great. Yar says, about my Cricut cartridges, should I keep any in my jukebox, or do you suggest I remove them all and put them in the large box as in Cool Tools section of the website? I think a lot of it depends on how you are going to use them and if you go to crops and classes with them. So if you'd like to take them with you when you go places, it makes a lot more sense to put them in a smaller container that's easier to transport around. If you don't take them with you when you go, I know there's some people who have a lot of Cricut cartridges, but they just rely on the store or the crop host to provide the Cricut and stuff while they're there. So they may just take 1 or 2 cartridges. They don't take a lot of them. So I think it just kind of depends on what kind of scrapbooker you are and if you like to take those things with you and how much space you have. So you can get 16 cartridges in that box and the booklets and everything in the box in far less space than you can get, 16 boxes of Cricut cartridges. So I would say I would determine that whether labeling the boxes or putting them into a smaller container or even putting them on a divider or something like that based on your space and whether or not you travel. Did I miss what to do with die cuts? I'm sorry, that's a question from Christine. Die cuts are just going to go with the theme. So if it's a die cut of the, Santa, it's going to go in Christmas, and if it's a die cut of a shark, it's going to go in beach or sea life or whatever, however you have that categorized. Now, if you're asking what you do with die cuts, like if you're talking about the actual cutter, like the physics, I'm trying to blank on what they're called, the die that you cut with, those are just going to depend on how, like physics used to have a little case, I'm sure they still do, where you could put all of your cartridges in one little case and they kind of leaned backwards so you could flip through them. If you're using something like that, you still want to use a numbering system. So if that little case has 50 physics cartridges in it, I don't really know, it's been a long time since I've actually seen one, but and you want to number those cartridges 1 through 50 and put an example in each section where they belong. So when you go to use that, you're like, oh, this is number 37. You know it's in the box labeled, physics 1 through 50, and you can go about 2/3 of the way back and find it pretty quickly and easily, and you can also put it away pretty quickly and easily. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not really sure if that was what you were asking. Barbara says, since I've already tossed my Cricut boxes, can I get a copy of the images off the internet for each cartridge? You can, and there are some shortcuts. Now, for those of you who aren't doing Facebook, you can email customer service. Joanna loves this. Email Joanna at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and she can go into Facebook and get the links for you. She might actually already have them, and tell you where to find that information on the internet. So a lot of the work has been done because we've been through 4 or 5 webinars already, or maybe 6 or 7. I'm kind of losing count, I think. So a lot of the information is already there, and it's already in the Facebook Docs section. And if it's not there, or if you can't find it and you're on Facebook, you can just ask, and most of the time some alumni member will be able to give you the answer right away. But it is all available. Colleen says, on the picture for the spellbinder dies in the pocket pages, I don't see any numbers on the dies or the pockets. How are these numbered? The number on them is actually on the back. It's actually on the back side of those, because when I put them together, I didn't have a silver Sharpie available to me, and I couldn't write on the black magnetic page with the marker that I had. So they're on the pocket. The numbers are on the back side of those because it's white. The magnetic canvas that I was using white on the other side so I could write on it, but the numbers are there. They just don't show up. I'll try and get that changed out for the next webinar, so it's a little bit more clear on that. But how are they numbered? So it would just be the same thing. There would be a tab if you're going to put them in pocket pages. It's just a tab that says nestabilities, and then or spellbinders or whatever, whichever thing, or if you're going to combine them or whatever. And then it would be the same. So those were 6 pocket pages that you were seeing in those pictures. So 6, 101, 6, 102, whatever. I don't remember if it has an N on it. It might have a N on the back of it too. So they're pretty obvious what they are. But let's see. Annie says, recycle all your magnets that you get with advertising and phone books to hold your nestabilities. Recycle and reuse. So yeah, a lot of times you get a magnet for your refrigerator that advertises something like a pizza restaurant or whatever, and some of them are big enough definitely to use for that. So great suggestion. Wendy says there's a Yahoo group called Cricut_cheat_sheet that has files with all the Cricut images organized by name theme. It's so handy. So it's a Yahoo group. I'm going to type this into my box and send it out to all of you, called Cricut_cheat_sheet. So I'm going to send to all, so you should all see that pop up on your thing. So thank you very much, Wendy, for that. That's exactly the one that I think I was talking about and that I've heard group members refer to as well. Debbie says, what about generic borders, flourishes, etc.? Where do you put these? And again, those can just go in your shape. So if it's just a swirly border, I might put that swirly border in ocean or beach because it reminds me of a wave. I might put that swirly border example in girls if it's really girly and kind of reminds me of that. But what I'm really going to do is just put it in the shape section and maybe even call it borders if you have a lot of generic shape borders. And that way when you're looking for something like that, they're all grouped together. Same thing with flourishes, anything like that, anything that could be used on any kind of page. And the other thing is once you start organizing this way, especially things like shape, it's easy for your brain to remember because they're all together, and it's a place that you're going to be going regularly. So it keeps everything fresh, and you know what you've got. It's very visual. Will we be able to print out this webinar? Yes. I'm assuming you mean the PDFs of the screens. Yes, I will post it. Are your new page is available yet? We already answered that question. No, not until June. No. Joanna says, Facebook question, if we order now, will you wait to ship until Saturday, May 5th? No. You have to order on May 5th. It's 24 hours on May 5th. So you got to order during that 24-hour period. What if the Cricut cartridge was preloaded and you don't have a box to copy? Then you can probably just find it at Cricut cheat sheet. They'll have it for you. Okay, Facebook question. Okay, let's see. If we order something May 5th, Lori says, you once mentioned a possible special for webinar students. Has the decision been made? Actually, we didn't do a special for the webinar this time because we have the Thanksgiving Day coming up. So that is our special for this webinar challenge. Wendy said, if you just copy the back of the Cricut cartridge, you will miss a lot of images that are not on the box. So you can go to that Cricut cheat sheet Yahoo group and get the full cheat sheet for everything that's on there. But truthfully, if it's a Christmas Cricut cartridge box and you're working on Christmas, then you can pull that. You know exactly where to go to get it, and then you could flip through the booklet as well. So remember, what you're trying to do is drive yourself to remember what you've got and make it easy to use those things. So depending on your personality, the picture from the back of the box might be plenty because all you're trying to do is remember that you have that particular cartridge, and other people like to see all the details of the cartridge. So either way is fine, whatever works best for you. Let's see. Sherry says, some Cricut cartridges cover multiple themes or holidays. Cheerful Seasons covers every season, so would you put with winter, spring, summer, or fall, or do you just have one section for all of your shape type cartridges? So, my speaker sounds like, I'm not hearing any feedback on it. So if you can, I'm wondering if you guys can still hear me. So if you can still hear me, if you can raise your hand so I know that my voice is still coming through, that would be great. Okay, I see lots of hands coming up. Okay, good. I'm not hearing anything on my end, so it's kind of bizarre. Let's see. Let's go to the next question here. Okay, come on, question panel. Yourself. I have to make my question panel large again. Sorry. Now I have to find where I left off in my list of questions. Okay. Okay, so some cartridges have multiple themes. So there's a couple of ways to do it. If it's seasons, so you can put it in the very front of your calendar year section, right? So you can just have a catalog sheet in the very front that says all seasons. The same way that when you have a stack of paper that's all seasons, it just goes right in the front of your calendar year section with your paper storage boxes or whatever. And then they're going to be there, and so you'll see them. Or you could make 4 copies of it and put one in winter, one in spring, one in summer, and one in fall. So just, again, depending on your personality, do you want those details in each section, or will it work for you to just have a main all seasons? Because there are other things that have all seasons too. Sometimes there's some templates with all seasons, or different other things that have multiple seasons on them besides paper packs, which is another one. So if you can do it all together, or you can photocopy it 4 times and put one in each section. Okay, let's see. So, hi Tiffany, we met at CKC. I wanted the expansion base, but you were sold out, so you give me the beginning set, and after the show, I remember that I would need the Velcro strap. Should I call customer service about this? I have used a 2-inch piece of white Velcro for now. Yeah, just if you just send an email to customer service with I may have, no, that was someone else. I wrote that down for, sorry. Just send an email to customer service and include your address, you know, your mailing address with a note that says, please send a Velcro connector, and we'll get one right out to you tomorrow. Barbara says, my Cricut cartridges are on my Gypsy. What would be the easiest way to find, the way to number these, to find them? I have to confess I am ignorant about the Gypsy, although Merle uses a Gypsy. So I could certainly pick her brain about it, but I would post that on Facebook. I mean, obviously, you can take if the cartridges have the same name on your Cricut, on your Gypsy, I don't know how, I know what the Gypsy is, but I've never used one, so I don't really know how that all goes together. I'm sorry, you've sort of stumped me, but I'm sure there's somebody on Facebook, and if not, I can definitely touch base with Merle and get the inside scoop and kind of put a post up about that, the best way to track those down. So if somebody has a good answer for Barbara, if you can post it on the Facebook page, that would be great. Lori Ann asked, do Close to My Heart stamp sets fit into the Scrap Rack 4-pocket page? They absolutely do. And actually what I do with Close to My Heart is, you know how they come with that little foam sheet? I put 2 sets of Close to My Heart stamps in each 4-pocket page, and I just put that little foam sheet in between the 2 of them. And that way I can see them both on back side and front side, and I get 2 per pocket, so 8 per page instead of 4 per page. Now, it doesn't bother me if that makes the pages really heavy, so they kind of sag a little bit in that section. That doesn't bother me at all. So if that bothers you, then that might not be the best option for you. But especially if you're using them in a travel pack and not on your base unit, then that's not going to matter at all. But I put 2 Close to My Heart stamps. Good stuff. What would you recommend to use to store the Freestyle mouse kit? Sue Malone. So you know what I would do, Sue? I would just cut with the Freestyle mouse kit an example of what each blade does, and then you're just going to put it, you know, with your tools. Now for me, I use that Freestyle mouse kit all the time, so it's in the rollout, the little rollout cart right next to my desk, but you know, each of the blades has a little number on it, and so I numbered the white little trays that they come in, 1, 2, 3, and then so it's like blade, you know, tray number 1, and then the blade number next to it, so I know which blade, which tray it's in. I can just pull out that tray and use it, and then the little mouse just goes right there. Now I use a 12 by 12 or a big cutting mat. I don't use the little mat that came with it, but I do use the straight edge, and so that's in the same little rollout basket with that. But you can cut an example of those edges and put it in your shape section and just write, you know, Freestyle mouse and the blade number on it, and then you know exactly what the cut is. Now, if you don't have a Freestyle mouse or you don't know what we're talking about, that's just a super cool cutting tool that has 13 different, or it has 12 different blades. It has a straight blade, a perforating blade, and a scoring blade, and then it has the rest of the blades are decorative edge blades. So you actually get, I think it's 9 different decorative edges with it, and it doesn't, you can cut curves with it. It's on the website. I'm sorry, I'm just babbling on, but it's a really, really cool tool. And I think, Sue, I think we saw you at New Hampshire, so that may be why you're asking. I mean, you may be fresh to that, but it's a super cool tool. Yar asked, do you suggest we unmount woodblock stamps as the SU ones? What is your preferred method? I'm always going to opt for storing the thing that takes up the least space. So I have not unmounted the woodblock stamps that I have, but I don't buy woodblock stamps anymore because they're so big and bulky. So it just depends how many you have and how much space you have and how much time you have. I certainly wouldn't recommend unmounting the stamps if there's other things that are a bigger time priority, but definitely unmounted stamps take up so much less space than mounted stamps. So that would be the kind of thing that would drive me is the space for them. Linda says, Barbara asks, where is the catalog kept? So I have a catalog that's on this binder in the very front of my scrap rack. Now, truthfully, it's on the front of my scrap rack, and that's not the best place for it. The best place for it is dead center, actually, or right about in the center, because it's easy. If it's something you're going to reference a lot, that's the easiest place to fit. You know, you don't have to shift all the pages over to one end or the other end if you have it at the end. So my catalog is just in the middle. I also have, you know, examples all the way through the rack. So I do the double catalog thing, essentially. I have a catalog I can take with me for shopping, where I can see everything in one place, and then I have examples spread out through each of the sections as well. Linda says, hi, Tiffany, came on at 9:09. Did I miss much? Came in on step 1. I think you're in pretty good shape, Linda. You might have just a few minutes. If that first 9 minutes, you can catch up on the recording later, but I don't think you missed too much. We're kind of, the question and answer period tends to be the meat of the session. Dana says, I just went to your website and saw that the supersized single sheets are out of stock. Darn, that is what I was waiting for until free shipping day to buy. Any chance to buy the product and just have it sent when you get them in stock? We're just not set up for back orders, especially for that duration. So we do have the side loader singles if the super's out of stock. I'll do a double check on it tomorrow. So if there are any in the warehouse, I'll make sure that that gets updated. I know that that's one of the reasons we're offering the coupon for people on free shipping day, is because we're going to be out of, I have to tell you, ladies, we have our first quarter this year has just been phenomenal. I mean, we have literally gone through a year's worth of product on many items in the first 4 months of the year. So so that's one of the reasons that we're offering, you know, to send out that coupon as well, so that you can, you know, take advantage of it in June, when not only when the new stuff comes in, but stuff that we are going to run out of. I'll be honest with you, we're going to run out of a lot of stuff. Not a lot, but I think there's 8 items that we're very close to. So on National Scrapbook Day, the early shoppers will have the advantage there. I'll tell you what I will do. If I find supersized singles that we can put up on the website, they will go up on the website at midnight or 11:59 on the 4th, I guess. So if there are supersized singles available, they'll go on right at that time. And also we do have the side loader singles. So I don't know if you've ever used those, but those are a great substitute for the supersized single, or with the supersized single as well. Okay, Kathy says, would you recommend a 12 by 12 or would you prefer 9 by 12 for the catalog? You know, I think it just depends. If you do the 12 by 12, you can get a lot more stuff on a page, so that's great. And if you're using a scrap rack, it's easy to take that catalog off and throw it in a travel pack at 12 by 12. Now, 8.5 by 11 is a more standard size. You can put it in you can put your catalog in a regular notebook instead of putting it on your scrap rack. If you're using 8.5 by 11, there's page protectors for that are a lot less expensive than 12 by 12 pocket pages for storage. So you could go either. I mean, it could go either way. It's a matter of convenience at that point. So you know, you can also do 8.5 by 11 pages and put them on your scrap rack too. Just because all of our stuff is 12 by 12 doesn't mean you can't use things that are 8.5 by 11 as long as it's a standard 3-hole card. So, Barbara says, please tell us again all the page sizes. So the triple play is a 3-pocket page, and it's in between the double extra long and what used to be the 4 in a row. So it's 3 12.5-inch long by 4-inch deep pockets. I think that'll probably work really well, actually, for the spellbinders, the long spellbinders dies. I don't actually even have the finished or the approved prototype for it, so I haven't had a chance to play with it at all, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good match for that. And that's called the triple play. And then the straight 8 is 8 pockets that are 6 inches long and 3 inches wide. So if you have the old Dream Dozen page, the bottom row of pockets was 4 pockets like that, so it's just going to be a double row of those, and they work great for people who have a lot of embellishment. The Sweet 16 pocket is too small because you have so many. To be able to use like a 5-inch by 2-inch or 5-inch by 3-inch Ziploc bag to hold like tons of brads or eyelets or whatever beads, glitter in those pockets, and that's called the straight 8. The Fantastic 5 is 4 5x7 pockets, 2 going up and down, and 2 going vertical and 2 going horizontal. And that has a little tiny 2x2 pocket in the middle of the page too. As soon as I get the finished prototypes, they should probably be here by the end of the week. I'll take some pictures and we'll get them up on the website so you can see what's coming. So the triple play, the straight 8, the Fantastic 5, and then we have a new page planner page that's the same material as the side loader single. It has a 12x12 pocket on the back side, and it opens from the top. It doesn't open from the side, but it opens from the top. So it's got a 12x12 pocket on one side, and then it has a big 12x6 pocket along the front, and then it has a 6x8 pocket and a 4x6 pocket also. So it's sort of laid out so that you can put all the pieces of things you need together for page planning in one pocket page. And it's designed to hold one 12x12 layout of stuff in each page. And then obviously once you finish that layout, you would just reuse it over and over again. So, and I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing something. We're working on a page. I don't know if it's going to be released this time, that would hold a Cricut cartridge in one pocket and the Cricut booklet in the other pocket. So I don't know that that's actually going to make it. I haven't even gotten close to approving a prototype for that. So I'm not sure that we need to get production going on everything. So we're kind of that one's been the challenge for quality reasons. So if it doesn't make it this time, it'll definitely make the late fall or early winter program. So I think that's everything. All right. Yar says, forgot a lot. How do you match the numbering from the catalog to the actual drawer the stamps are in physically? I understand that. I understand if they are in the scrap rack example, but what if they are in the drawers? Thanks. It was great meeting you as well. You just put the number on the drawer. So my drawers just have writing on them with a Sharpie. But if you want something neat, you just print off a label maker and you can just write it. Now, if you don't want that writing on the front of your drawer, you might be able to, for whatever reason, it's wood or you don't like the way it looks or whatever it is, then you could, open the drawer and put it right on the inside of the drawer so it's easy to see what the numbers are in each drawer, and you probably get a feel for it anyway after a while of how much is in each drawer. But mine are just labeled right on the front with Sharpie. I do have a label maker, and Karen at the office laughs at me because I bought it a long time ago so I could make everything look neat and tidy with labels, and I still haven't taken out the package. So, but just write them right on the front of the drawer. Let's see, here we go. Barbara says, ring binder adhesive strip is the name of the adhesive that was giving me trouble staying. So Barbara, I'm not sure what you're trying to stick it to. That might make a difference. So I don't know. I've been using them for years and I've never had a problem. I've stuck them to all kinds of things from plastic templates to, obviously magazines and cookbook kinds of things or whatever. So maybe you could tell me what you're sticking it to, and that might help. Let's see. I've got some responses to the audio question here. Wendy says you can find the Art Philosophy images if you go to the CTMH homepage. So that was for somebody that asked a question earlier. Let's see. Janet says, sorry, I'm getting off to wait for the repost. Lori says, what about border punches? Many have no definite theme. I think I already answered that. Joanna says, sure, email me if you want. So you can email Joanna at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and she will do her best to answer whatever you throw her way. Leslie says, I found the easiest way is to Google the name of the cartridge and then click on image, and you can see various sources. That's true. So for those of you who are using Google and don't use the image option, whatever you Google, if you click on image on the left side, it'll only bring up images, and that will work great. Nancy said, is the NSD cell Pacific Daylight Time or local time? It will be Eastern Standard Time. So I guess if you're on the West Coast, you have the advantage because at 9:01 or 8:59 or what, right there at the stroke of midnight time, it'll go live for everybody. So just so you know, if you're ordering and you're on the West Coast, it's going to start 3 hours earlier than if you're on the East Coast. Lots of responses. Kathy says it's clearer than usual. Let's see. You mentioned the got-a-lots, Kathy. Miranda says, you mentioned the got-a-lots need to make 2 copies of the catalog. Don't remember why. 1 copy to go in the actual section. So you make 1 copy of your Christmas stuff and it goes in the Christmas section, and 1 copy of the Christmas stuff goes in your catalog, and that way you can take the whole catalog with you when you go to a crop or when you go shopping or to a stamping event or whatever. Christine says, do we add the Cricut cartridges to the scrap rack pages too? We don't have a page that will fit the cartridge right now. Actually, we do have a page that will fit it. I just wouldn't recommend it at this point. The new pages it'll fit in. You can use a divider and Velcro to put them all, you know, on a divider also, as was seen in that other picture. Cindy says, Tiffany, you rock. Can't wait to get my stamps and die catch ordering. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy's one of my good pals from doing the scrapbook shows, too. I see her all over the country. So good that you're here with us tonight, Cindy. Patricia says, on the Gypsy, you can search for them using the bug icon. So I don't know what that means, but hopefully you do if you have a Gypsy. I'm going to have to play with Merle's Gypsy so I can know what y'all are talking about with that. Barbara says, the ring binder insert strips by the strips that are not holding. Do you know a good adhesive to attach the strips to help hold the strips to whatever you attach it to? If you can tell me what you're trying to attach it to, Barbara, I can answer that question as well. But Gorilla Glue holds everything to anything. Just don't get it on your fingers. Cindy says, quick question, what is the earliest one can place an NSD order? I'm working that day, so wondering how early I can place the order. And Cindy, you're in Pacific time zone, so at 9 o'clock on the 4th, 9 p.m. on the 4th, it'll go live for everybody on the East Coast, so 9 o'clock on the evening of the 4th. Barbara says, I'm sticking it to large Ziploc bags. I don't know. That stumps me. I've stuck lots of plastic things, but I don't know if I've actually stuck them onto Ziploc bags. So I'll give it a shot at the office and see if I can replicate that. But you might also just be able to use a piece of tape and to tape it to the bag. I'm not sure. I'll try it tomorrow at the office, Barbara, and see if I can't come up with a better answer for you. So in the years that we've been selling those, I've never had anyone have a problem with them sticking. So I'm sorry that's happening for you. All right, that's the end of the questions. So if nothing pops up here in the next few seconds while I'm signing off, that'll be the end of the session for tonight. And like I said, I did just cut a woodblock video for organizing woodblock stamps, particularly today. It'll be edited and probably available relatively soon. It is one of the videos that's going to be for sale on the website. So I think they're $2.99 or $3.99 or something like that. But it'll be up on YouTube for the first week for free. So you can watch it for free for the first week through our YouTube channel. So if you're not following on YouTube, if you're not following Scrap Rack Lady on YouTube, you might want to do that so you'll get a post when it posts up there, and then you can watch it for free for the first week. And after that, you can buy it on the website. So maybe if you want to keep it and use it later. Joanna's reminding me they're $3.99. Okay. Lorianne says, can you review the times again regarding May 4th? So May 4th, we will start the National Scrapbook Day sale at midnight Eastern Time, which is 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Central Time. So depending on the time zone that you're in, you get a little bit of a bonus over the folks on the East Coast who won't go live until midnight on the website. So I hope that makes sense. Sarah says, recommendation, freestyle mouse versus the 9-blade edger. If you are someone who likes the lines nice and neat and straight, then the 9-blade trimmer is the tool for you. if you want to be able to cut curvy and freestyle, then the freestyle mouse is definitely a cool tool. You know, I have both, obviously. But if I was going to choose one over the other, I would freestyle mouse. It's just really, really fun to work with. I mean, it's just a really cool tool, and it's so small that it's easy to work with. I mean, I use it for trimming all kinds of stuff now because it's even easier than picking up a pair of scissors if you're just cutting something straight across or whatever. So they're both great tools, but if I was going to only choose one, it would definitely be the freestyle mouse. Heather says, thank you. Off to catalog now. Get busy, Heather. Get your challenge done for the week. Get ready for National Scrapbook Day. I hope you all have a small local store that you're able to support on National Scrapbook Day. And if you don't, hop online and support some small online vendor on National Scrapbook Day so we can keep our industry nice and strong, because the stronger our industry is, the more manufacturers create really cool toys for us to play with. So thanks for joining me tonight, and I will talk to all of you again next Monday night. And again, if you have any questions, you can email us at customerservice@thescraprack.com or post on the Facebook page. Thanks again. Have a great week.